right, so I should intro first, Tom Manny, agronomist with Specialty Hybrids. I'm out here at our SmartStax Pro plot over here in south of Kentland. What's that? You can speak up, don't worry about it.
Benton County.
Benton County, thank you, Marty.
South of Rob.
So I'm out here with Marty Park, agronomist with Gutwein Seeds, right there. Wave hi, Marty. So we're doing a little bit of root digs today. So Marty, we got SmartStax Pro today. Doing some root digs on a sultry, well, it's not that bad out yet, is it?
No.
But it's gonna be.
Yeah.
If I take too long doing this video, Marty's gonna smack me with a bucket here. So just wanted to talk about, so Marty, what do you know about SmartStax Pro so far?
So SmartStax Pros, basically SmartStax with the additional RNAi technology in it. So in some of the areas where they were struggling and having some resistance issues out west, it'll bring a new opportunity for enhanced control there and a different mode of action.
Absolutely. How much do you know about RNAi technology?
Not that much.
Well, then I guess I didn't do a very good job this winter. So
you probably explained it very well. It's just been too long ago.
No,
so
fair enough.
It's an internal trait genetically built in that over a period of time will affect the rootworm larva and shut it down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So RNAi, all of us have RNA. We have DNA and RNA. RNA is like the recipe book telling the DNA what to do, telling the cells what to do. So for me, I got kind of a red beard here. So my RNA is taking that RNA to the cell and saying, here's the recipe for Tom to make a red beard. So it's the similar pattern with short corn. Short corn. We were talking about short corn earlier with SmartStax Pro. So what we do is with the rootworms, it's highly targeted that we're interrupting the process of the RNA getting delivered to the cells. So it's highly targeted at corn rootworm, and it has a very effective kill. So what we're seeing is very strong performance out of it. So we're out here doing some root digs. We got all sorts of different trait platforms. We have 4 SmartStax Pro varieties, right? Yep. 4 SmartStax Pros. We have 2 Chrome. I should say competitor trait. 2 Chrome. We have Double Pro, and we have and SmartStax. So we have all different sorts. We're going to dig some roots here, and we're going to share that with you. So, anything else to add, Marty?
Nope.
No.
We're a little dry down here. Hopefully, we get some rain here really soon.
Hopefully, but not until we finish doing this.
Yeah.
So
we take it anytime we can do it.
I know. So, all right. Marty, so we just got done washing off the roots. You want to explain a little bit what we did today?
Yeah, so Tom and I went out in the different rootworm technologies. We dug 3 plants out of each technology, brought it back, let them soak, rinsed them off, and then we've been looking for rootworm damage, chewing in the roots, which the unprotected corn, which was just a Double Pro, we didn't really see any rootworm damage of any significance, but kind of interesting to see the different root structures, how they're growing. You know, this is a no-till field. If you happen to have a root that found a root channel or earthworm hole from last year, you can see how long that thing grew. So we appreciate the Schultes for planting this plot for us, and we look forward to watching it the rest of the year and seeing how these new SmartStax Pro products yield.
Absolutely. So back on the rootworms though real quick. So where kind of have you seen some issues with rootworms in your area?
So 10 years ago or so, this is kind of the epicenter of the first year corn rootworm variant, where it was basically laying eggs in soybean fields, so that when we planted corn into the bean field, we we would have rootworm pressure, where before they were just corn on corn insects. And kind of this was the epicenter. Went through several years of having them really, really bad. Everybody utilizing different technologies and insecticides. And for the most part, we haven't seen the rootworm very bad, except for kind of this 24 corridor and kind of corn on corn. They seem to raise their head here recently, the last few years. So Kentland, Goodland, Remington, Reynolds, in that area. So we still have an area where we have a lot of guys that still use rootworm protection to protect the value of the crop.
Okay. And just for this growing season, what do you recommend some guys? So a few more acres have gone corn on corn this year. If they're able to lock in low inputs and they're willing to do that, what do you recommend to some folks that are going corn on corn this summer?
Corn on corn, we have a lot of areas that are heavy corn on corn production, and of course, one thing we think about there is rootworm. Of course, you had to make those decisions early in the season for what you're going to plant for protection, but we usually put a little added nitrogen on our corn acres because of the residue, and then that would also be the first place I would look for disease, because you've got all that inoculum there in that corn. So fungicide applications, definitely on corn acres, and I think most people this year will put a fungicide application on every acre because they've seen how devastating tar spot can be and the value of the crops.
But with that, specifically more rootworm related. So we haven't had tons of high wind events here, and the eggs would have just been hatching recently, probably within the past couple weeks, right?
So probably about the time you saw a lightning bug start, that's typically the start of the rootworm hatch, so the larvae start feeding on roots. I would think that a lot of our rootworm would be starting to pupate now, or going to the pupa stage, and then here in the next week, 10 days, we'll probably start to see some rootworm beetles starting to fly, and that's of course evidence that some of them survived and chewed on corn roots and survived to actually go into the next cycle.
So if you, let's just say I'm a grower, I decided to, I grow all double pros, and I decided to run some corn on corn this year.
Yep.
You'd recommend, let's go out, dig up some roots and see, because from my experience, you're not really going to see if you have rootworm damage until it's too late. So it's good to get a plan of attack going into the year. So getting out and digging out some roots in some of your non-rotated acres specifically. If you didn't use technology like SmartStax, and you didn't use an insecticide, that's going to be at high risk.
I think if you're out scouting for disease, I would also kind of be looking around to see how many rootworm beetles you have. And if you have lots of rootworm beetles, you're going to be making a plan for that in the future.
All right, well, thank you, Marty. Thanks, Schulte, for